we're going to try the Smooth Ambler Contradiction with a really cool elephant on top of the barrel.
It's a elephant.
Love it.
It's what I said was?
You said elephant. I said it's a elephant.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not sure.
biased.
I don't know what the hell he's
It's
talking
a elephant.
So it's 92 proof, and I wasn't planning on opening it, but I'm here with Sean.
Yes, he
Lauren.
was. Don't let him lie.
So I'll go ahead and
I tried my one. I'm good.
it's got a nice tight cork, by the way. Very nice. All right, sir, your pour.
Apparently, we like them tied over here.
Look, oops, I need to, if I don't have an even pour, especially if it's on the light side on that guy, it's not a good
We
pour.
won't tell them it's not
I feel like I got shorted on this one, but that's fine.
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. Oops. See, this is what I was talking about.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
Yep. All right. Okay. So,
Tell us about this one.
all right. I'm not too proud to look at the back of the bottle. So again, this is produced and bottled by Smooth Ambler Spirits Company out of Maxwellton, West Virginia. But we know that it's comes from whiskey that's distilled in West Virginia, Tennessee, and Indiana, which will be Lawrenceburg, which will be MGP. It's a blend of straight bourbons. Components are wheated bourbon, distilled and aged in West Virginia, and merchant bottled bourbon that we carefully source.
So this says contradiction bourbon, but this is not a bourbon.
It's not a bourbon. No, it's not a true bourbon. This is a whiskey because it's blended and it's not. So in order for, it depends if you're a purist. So a bourbon, to be called a bourbon, has to be distilled in Kentucky, aged in Kentucky, in a charred white oak barrel, at least 4 years, right? But if you're not a purist, which I'm not necessarily a purist because I just enjoy whiskeys, I just call them whiskeys. Now, a rye is not a bourbon, right? A rye is a whiskey.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like Scotch is a
yeah.
whiskey, and
Yes.
Irish whiskey is a whiskey.
yeah, correct. So
It's all whiskey. It's
yeah.
just-
So we tend to not be snobs in terms of that purest sense. I like the bourbons or the ryes in particular that are aged in Kentucky. At least in that respect, I am a bit of a purist, but I'm not too concerned about where they're distilled because there's so many good distillers. All right, so this would be considered a whiskey, and as it says, it's a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. And it says a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. So that's why they get away with it.
Right. So even if it's a, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and I take another Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, and I pour them together,
Yes,
I have made a whiskey, not a bourbon.
correct.
Right.
They are blended.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be blended. But if you look at your whiskey cask, which we can't see right now, where you combine probably 15
Put
to
some B-roll in.
20, huh?
We can put some B-roll in. You'll be able to see
Okay,
it.
15 to 20 different whiskeys. It's unbelievable how good it is. But the problem is we don't know what was put in there
No clue.
because we don't remember.
I'm getting a lot more leather, a little bit of tobacco. Yeah, it's definitely spicier.
It
But
burns.
there are some really nice fruit tones in there. That
I get a little
appreciate.
less apricot and maybe a little more like cherry almost.
Yeah, possibly.
Like a deeper fruit, you think?
I would guess. It depends on the time of the day, how good my nose is working.
Oh.
So I've been around a lot of dogs today.
That one.
Actually, my sister just got a new dog. And so
She saved him from being euthanized at the
yeah,
shelter.
it was pretty cool. Anyway, so we're going to give this a taste. So, considering that's only 92 proof, it's got a good bite to it. I'm going to have my second sip. So this is one of these whiskeys that hits you big on the front end. And then I like to call it, I describe it as kind of, it hollows out.
Yeah.
Kind of settles down. It's almost like a cellar. It comes down into the bottom there and it sits for a long time. A lot longer than others. And then it comes up a little bit at the end there. But it gives you a chance to taste all of the different things that are part of that.
You know what this really reminds me of? It reminds me of like when you get up in the morning and it's kind of chilly and you make some coffee, some good coffee, and you have that sip of coffee and you can honestly like just feel it come down and just like warm your bones a little bit. Like it's a little bit like, oh wow, this is like hot, this is coffee. Boom, it's on the front end and then it just kind of mellows out and picks up at the end. This kind of has that same effect where it's like kind of hits you in the face a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, like that's a bit harsh, it's a lot of spice. And then it, like you said, it hollows out. It gets a little bit of caramel, a little bit of vanilla. Actually, a lot of vanilla.
It's really crisp though. It's very crisp on the front end, which I like.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It's not a whiskey that I would actually probably drink with ice in. There's only a few of those that I would do.
Would you mix it into anything else? Old fashioned or
There might be
anything?
fights over that one. Yeah. No,
It's already a blend.
It's already a blend. I might actually. It probably would be pretty good, but it would be the best old fashioned you'd ever had. And I can say that I've only made one, and it was for me. I made an old fashioned with this, and it
Put
was.
a cap on that old timer.
And it was it was the best. You can say that, but he's pretty confident that there's things I can still beat his ass in. So anyway,
We'll get into the history of Mike at some point, and yes, he's a fucking thoroughbred.
So I
Just
would,
look at those hands.
let's I got the old man hands. So
Mitts.
let's rank it. You go first this time.
Okay. I would say for the advanced whiskey drinker watching, it is thin. It's not as thick and syrupy as some of the other stuff. I typically like them a little more thick and syrupy. But with that being said, excellent flavor. Spicy on the front end, like I said, mellows out. Lots of caramel, lots of vanilla, lots of tobacco, lots of, all those good things that make you love whiskeys. For me, this is probably an 8.2.
Okay. He was a little harsher on it than I thought he might be. I'm a little bit afraid for what I might have contributed to. I was kind of a joke, but
Mike created this monster. That's me.
so I agree. It's and I refer to it as meaty. It's not nearly as meaty as that Willet Rye 4-year.
No.
And not nearly as meaty as the Old Forester Statesman that we're going to open. But I think the flavor and kind of how it that, like you said, it kind of goes down and just warms you up. It has a long tail on it.
Yeah.
It really does. I would probably rank it a little higher, maybe an 8.8, 8.7.
Really?
And now we're getting into the points. But I think it's
That's
actually,
high.
well, for whiskey, I think it's. You want me to bring it down a little bit?
No, whatever you
Okay.
make.
What do you rank it at?
8.2.
An 8.2. Oh gosh. You always make it so. I would go. Okay.
I think we're splitting hairs.
I would go. I would go maybe an 8.4.
8.4.
8.4. 8.2 to 8.4. I'd feel comfortable with, because there's a lot of exceptional whiskeys out there. So, and she put that up and.
Well, I said we're splitting hairs. So
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Okay. So, all right, but we're in agreement. It is an exceptionally good blend of whiskey,
Absolutely.
and
Even Nibbler agrees.
yeah, and Nibbler the dog, yeah, agree.
Klaus would be the one to tell you if
Yeah.
it's good.
Klaus is. Peter's gonna crawl up my ass for that. I'm not gonna.
But again, I want to make sure, just for the record, this is a whiskey, not a bourbon.
Yes.
I'm ranking it like an 8.4 as a whiskey.
Okay.
If I rank this as a bourbon, wouldn't be up there. As a rye, of course not, wouldn't be up there. Different, completely different. But as a whiskey, just a pure whiskey, I would put it, like you said, like around 8.2, 8.4. So,
Yeah.
and I'm actually extremely happy to have tried it because it's been a long time.
Yeah, this is actually bringing back quite a bit of memories for me. I mean, this is good stuff. It really
Well,
is.
I have a quick story. Can I tell a quick story?
Bring it on. Story time with Uncle Mike.
Story time. So this bottle right here, his advisor in his master's program, by the name of Dr. Joel Steger, a colleague of mine, he gave this to me in my chair, Dr. Dave Casea, when he retired. Unusual, because usually you give them something. Of course, Joel Steger doesn't drink.
He is the contradiction.
He is the contradiction. So he bought us this bottle, had no idea how good it was. And unfortunately, it still sits in my chair's house. I never got it back. I never got to have half of it. But if I go over, he still has some, and I drink it over there. But the funny thing is that this guy that knew absolutely nothing about whiskeys or bourbons or anything cared enough about us, and this was his advisor, mind you, that really helped him quite a bit. Goes out and finds one of the most unique bottles, really, that's out there at the time. So kind of cool.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, I actually when I guest lecture at the university, I'm lucky enough to get invited. I talk about my mentors and the people who have really helped me along the way, and Joel Steger is absolutely one of those, along with Mike here. And yeah, he's very. if you've never met Steger, you don't understand Steger until you spend some time with him. And whenever you do, you realize he is absolutely brilliant. But he's very much, it's his way, and he knows what he's doing, and that's how it's going to be. And he's a great man. 10 out of 10. Love him.